Hi guys, welcome back. Today I want to talk about lighting. Lighting is a key element for photography. Sometimes it's really difficult even for professional photographer to control the light. But today I want to try to explain you briefly how to control the lighting in your phone. If you shoot on external, outside, it's really key to shoot during sunset or blue hour. By blue hour, I mean the very early morning, when the sun hasn't risen yet. Why do we do this? We do this because at midday or 2 p.m. the sun is very harsh, it's very high. Therefore our eyebrows will make a shadow on our eyes, which are always the subject of the image when shooting a person. On the other hand, when we shoot internal in a protected environment, we can control the light in an easier way. Usually, if you don't have professional light, you have to use a window. This is the best way to take great pictures, both for person and for product. When you are inside, the best way, if you don't have professional lighting, is to use a window. But when you use a window, make sure that the sun is not hitting directly your subject that you're shooting, unless you want to create a particular effect. So basically what I mean by that is that when the sun is hitting your house inside a window, try to not place the subject directly towards the sun, but stay in the shadow, inside the house, inside the room that you are. Okay, first let me tell you what is a highlight and what is a shadow. When we have an image, all the light part are highlights and all the dark are shadows. The one in between are called midtones. When we shoot a picture, especially when we are inside or outside, it could happen that we have a very dark side and a very bright side. This happens, for example, where we are inside a dark room and we're trying to shoot outside where it's very bright. In this case, it is very difficult to capture both shadows and highlights, especially using our phone, which has a small sensor. The difference is that a camera has a bigger sensor and allows to capture more shadows and more highlights, a better dynamic range. Our goal when we take a picture with our phone is to try to capture as many highlights and as many shadows as possible. Sometimes if the image is too dark, the shadows will be completely black, so we're gonna lose details. On the other hand, if the image is too bright, we're gonna burn the highlights, so we're gonna lose all the details in the highlights. Our phones allow to control the light in several different ways. One way is to use the app Lightroom that we talked before in the Pro mode and control manually the light. This is the most difficult way. Let me show you the easier way, which is using the normal camera or even Lightroom. We just need to tap on certain parts of the image to control automatically the light. When we open our camera app or even Lightroom, this allows you to tap in the place that we want, whether it's in the shadows or whether it's in the highlights, to adjust automatically the exposure. Usually every smartphone is set on automatically. That means that the software will adjust itself the exposure. However, when it's like this, if the shadows are too dark, we can tap on the shadows and the image will bring up all the shadows. If we want to tap on the highlights, this will darken all the image. When we are like this, but we want to control it by hand, you can tap on a spot and then darken the image, dragging down your finger, or lightening up, dragging up your finger. However, even if you are in this position, when you're going to move your phone, it will adjust automatically. So it won't remember the settings that you put. However, if you keep pressing on one point, the iPhone will automatically block the focus and the lighting that you choose. Again, if you want to drag it down to darken the image or drag it up to lighten it up, it will hold these settings. So even if you move, it won't adjust automatically. It will always keep the one that you put. This image is a bit difficult, and this is why. This area is very dark and this area is very bright. So because the sensor of the iPhone is very small comparing to a camera, it won't capture both highlights and shadows. As I mentioned before, when we shoot with Lightroom Mobile in DNG file, we have more data inside the picture. And in this case, it's easier to bring up the shadows if they are too dark or bring down the highlights if they're too bright. When we shoot with the normal camera of the smartphone, it is very difficult to bring down the highlights and to bring up the shadows because there is less information. Therefore, when it's burned or when they are too dark, the shadows, it's just lost, detail lost. On the other hand, with Lightroom, with editing, we can adjust a little bit. But it's always better to shoot the best we can on the first hand. Okay guys, thank you very much for listening. I'll wait for you in the next one when we're going to talk about depth of the image. Ciao!